Alright, we got a 3rd gen 1991 Firebird Power antenna. I believe it's an original. It does say Delco Products USA. I got to take this apart because it goes up and the motor keeps running and running and running. It might need a new kit. So you got to take these little clips off. There's 5 of them. Take the little bracket off. Unscrew this piece here. And there's 3 little rivets here that need to be drilled out for this to come apart. So I'm going to do that right now. Take those little, actually there's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, and there's one in the middle. Alright, I decided to use a Dremel tool to get that out. Be careful, this thing does heat up the plastic. It started melting the outside a little bit right here. Alright, so this little bit here is a little sanding bit, whatever. This one heats up the plastic too much, so I stopped using that one. And I got out one of these like spade bits. Looks kind of like a drill bit. And that seemed to work a lot better. Just put it in the hole, move it around a little bit. Watch, I'll show you real quick. It might be enough. We're trying to just thin down the little wall. Gotta do a little more. Alright, there we go. Get a little punch. And there we go. I think that's out. Yeah, you can see all the little pieces down here. See, that's what I was trying to do, is thin out the inside so it can disintegrate from the inside, so it just has nothing to hold on to. Alright, so now this thing should be able to be pried open. Alright, I'm going to put you on the little head cam. Alright, hopefully you can see. I bought 2 aftermarket ones of these, and both of them didn't work, so I had to return them. Made in China. Not that you can't get good stuff in China made, but that definitely wasn't made good. It looks like it comes off from this side. Maybe this side. Let's see. Yeah, this side. Alright, see that? And let's take note of where the RTV or whatever this silicone stuff is. Actually looks like it has kind of like a gasket. It could be RTV. Alright, so that's that piece. Here's a little wire. This is usually what breaks on these things. Use that little wire. Some little grommets. Okay, so it just kind of spooled in here. Does look kind of bent here. Yeah, it's broken at the very bottom. Check that out. See, it got bent here at the end. It shouldn't be bent. And then you can see in here where it wrapped in. There's a little hole here. See this hole? That's where that little rod goes into to hold this metal piece. But you can see that it's broken off, so that's probably why it's not working properly. Almost 100% for sure that's why it's not working properly, is this thing broken. You see it's kind of brittle. So that's what I got to get replaced, because the motor still works on that. Okay, I forgot. You got to take this end piece off. And it would be on really tight, which I can't even get it off by hand. So good thing I got a vise. And so that's on there. It's a real small. Let's try it, see if I got a small little wrench to get on there. I think it's super small. Yeah, it's just spinning that. I gotta do this a little tighter. This is a 7mm. Alright, let's try this again. This doesn't want to come out. Hopefully I don't break this, because I'm going to have to buy a new one. A new piece. Antenna piece. There we go. Finally. Alright. You see how tight I had to get that. That wood got indented, the antenna there. But it's not bent, so that's good. Now we should be able to pull this out. So there it is. So yeah, usually they break over here, but I've never seen one break at the very end. Wonder if I could pry that apart and slip it on the end here. It'd be short, but might work. I've heard some people fixing this with that weed whacker stuff that people use, but I don't see it if that would work, because this is kind of thick. You can see it's just crimped on here at the end. I believe when you buy a new one, they give you this whole rod with it, so you wouldn't have to repair this. But if you didn't want to buy one of these, because I think they stopped making them, the guys on eBay want like $50. You can try like a different make of car, because a lot of these power antennas are the same. Corvette from the 80s or something. Or you could try to repair it. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But that's how you take it apart. It is fixable. Alright, you could take a large flathead screwdriver, make sure it's pretty wide at the tip, and unscrew this little plastic insert. And this little rod comes out. You can see it's only 2 pieces, because the actual, see, that's the extension, 2 extension pieces only, because the third one is on the little cable. That's the actual end piece. It's the skinniest piece. So take it apart, clean it all up. You know, it's real dirty in there. So if yours is broken, I used to think this too. I used to think you could put WD-40 or some kind of lubricant on this thing. It would help it slide up and down. This is not the problem. It's not the problem. Unless you got dirt in there, it's usually not the problem. It's the actual cable. Like I said, this thing, when they break, it's still in there. It's still going to push it up somewhat and push it down somewhat, but if it breaks, it breaks. It's not going to work properly up and down all the way. Or if these things break here, because this is a mechanical switch, when it gets enough pressure from here, turning it, this thing pulls up on here, and then this thing goes up, and then there's a switch to turn it off. Same thing for the other side. There's a switch when you're going up, and when that switch turns it off right there. These are the switches. But yeah, if it doesn't have that pressure, because this thing was broken off, it didn't have the pressure enough to get that to turn it off, so it would run constantly. The motor would run and not turn off because there wasn't enough pressure in this wheel to push up on here, because this thing builds pressure with the motor. So yeah, this is fixable. Like I said, you just got to hunt down one of these. Cheapest I found was like 50 bucks for Firebirds, because they don't make them anymore. They used to, and they used to be like 20 bucks, 12 bucks or something like that. But that's what happens when the parts get discontinued. The ones that are available just inflate. Inflation in the price. Like I said, you could try to fix it. Don't know if I want to tackle trying to fix it. I might just buy a new one. Like again, you might look at the way this is set up. You might be able to get one from like a Chrysler or Corvette or some other type of vehicle. I'm gonna look around and see if I can find one that will work. Alright, I extended this thing out all the way and lined it up to this, and there's plenty enough wire in here still to try and put this piece back onto the end piece. You can see there's a little divot in it where they hit it with a little punch on both sides. So I'm going to cut that off right past where they punched it with the hole punch. Right here. I'm going to cut it off with the cutoff tool, my Dremel, and see if we can get that stuff out of there. Alright, after some research, I did find these on eBay. They're 50 bucks. I also found some for Cadillacs on eBay for $30 shipped. And the ones for $30, in the picture it looks the same like this, but who knows what you really get if you order one. So before I order one, I figured, let me try to fix it. So what I did is I drilled in the hole about, up to here, where that hole, I drilled a hole in it on accident. So I drilled up to here to clear up the hole. And then I was only able to fit this in maybe 1/4 of an inch. I actually had to sand around that a little bit to get it to fit in there. And then I just put some a punch, just punched it on both sides. And it seems pretty sturdy. Like, it doesn't seem like it's gonna pull out. Seems pretty good when I pull on it. So I think this is gonna work. I did find some cable. I heard some people doing it online. This might work too if you want to make your own. They sell it at Home Depot and stuff. And this one has the nylon on it. It fits in there pretty snug, but if you can get this through this hole here and then maybe put one of those little clamp things on here at the end, this might work, but then you're gonna have to figure out a way to get that to install on this side too. So instead of messing with that right now, I figured this is pretty much the length that I need. Like I said, I tested it out and it's plenty long, so I'm only losing like a couple inches, maybe 3-4 inches at the most, but I'm pretty sure they make these long, a little longer than what you need anyway. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna put this back together and see if it works. Tired of fiddling with it. So I ran this back in, I put the little cap back in, screwed that back in, shoved in the antenna, put the little nut back on, and now we're going to put this little cable back in. It's real easy to do. Find the little hole down here, shove this in like that, turn it, and then push down, then start wrapping it in there. Alright, I believe that's it. Alright, so I put some grease inside already. Gotta make sure you put this the right way. I believe it goes this way. That slides back in place. Alright, now I gotta put some grease in here and some RTV because I took the old RTV out. Grease, I'd put it, in here. Maybe some in here. Okay, that stays. Got some grease here ready. Thing pops out again. This old grease up here looks really old, so I'm going to just wipe it off and then put new grease around it. Alright, now I gotta go and look for some RTV. Not sure if I have any. Alright, RTV's in place. Put it in the same stock location. Then I put it at the bottom, I guess, to keep, if it drips out or whatever, you want to keep that unsealed. And now let's put this thing back together. Okay. I'm going to put some more RTV actually on this side too, right here. Okay, I'm gonna put these clips back in. Alright, clips are in place. Now we're gonna put some screws in these 4 holes here to keep it nice and tight. Now I have no idea if this is going to work. I haven't tested it, so fingers crossed, because if this doesn't work I gotta rip it out and buy a new cable kit. Alright, see if I got some screws for this thing. Alright, got this thing all bolted back together. Now for the test, does it work? I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't work, because these things are real fiddly. Ah, works. Huh, works better than it did before, so I guess we're good. And these original ones are pretty expensive, if you can find them. I don't even think you can find them, but there's the number for it. I looked it up and you can't find that number anywhere.